Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Jade. It is great to have you here. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about all the books that I hope to read in March, my March hopefuls, all the books on my March TBR. So we really have 8 books on my March TBR, but I already finished one of them. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the one that I finished, which is In Her Own League by Liz Tomford. This is the new book in the Windy Cities series, except it is a spin-off. It follows Monty, which is the father of the main character, the female main character in Caught Up. And so if you don't know who Monty is, he is the field manager of the Windy City Warriors, which is Chicago's professional baseball team. And you get glimpses of Monty and of Reese, which is our female main character in this book, in Caught Up and in Play Along. And so you don't have to read Windy City series in order to read this one, but of course you always get more out of it whenever you do read them. And so I would say I would recommend reading Caught Up and Play Along, just because you see a lot of those characters in this book because they're very closely related. But this one follows our main character. Her name is Reese. She is the new owner of the Windy City baseball team, and she kind of clashes with the field manager Monty, and so there's a bit of an enemies to friends to lovers arc going on all throughout this book, and there's a bunch of outside factors preventing them to be together because she's the first female owner in, I think, the professional baseball league, and she doesn't really want to give anyone a reason to look down on her and down on how she is and the person that she is. So there's a bunch of outlying factors that prevent them to be together, but I loved this book. I'm not going to go into too much details just because I'm going to save it for my wrap up, but I absolutely enjoyed this book. I definitely recommend it. I feel like if you love the characters of Caught Up, which are Miller and Kai, and the characters of Play Along, which are Isaiah and Kennedy, I definitely think you will like this one, just because not only are they in this book, but you also have such an emotional tie to Monty, and I feel like finally seeing him get his happy ending, you would definitely enjoy. So this was the first book on my March TBR that I already finished, so let's move on to the next one. And these are really in no particular order, but next we have And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. This one follows our main characters. Their names are Jackson and Delilah. They're both meteorologists, and they don't really like each other. This is the second book in the Heartstrings duology, and so you don't really need to know that book, but you do see kind of the setup of this, not much, but you just know that they kind of have a little rivalry going, but they decide to team up on this assignment, and then a storm hits, and I think they get stuck with one another. And so that's the premise of this book. So I'm super excited to read it, and I hope I do get to it this month. You're going to hear me say that a lot in this video because there are a lot of books in here that I hope I get to, but I think that this book cover is so cute. But I don't have much to say about this one. I enjoyed First Time Caller, which is the first book in this interconnected standalone series, and B.K. Borison recently announced the third book, I think the third and final book in this one, and so I enjoy her writing. I enjoy her books. They're not my favorite, but if she were to announce a new one, I am still going to read it just because they're cute, but nothing that I would rave about. But I am also still just really excited to read this, and I mean, like I already mentioned, the book cover is just stunning. Next we have is Project Hail Mary by Andy Ware. I cannot wait to read this one. This one is already out in theaters with Ryan Gosling. The movie's already out, but I want to read this book. I actually want to listen to this book because I've heard the audio is just absolutely phenomenal, and I heard that if you read this book that everyone recommends that you listen to it. So I'm definitely going to listen to the audiobook for this one. I don't really know what it's about, and I kind of want to go in a bit blind, but the little blurb at the top right here says a lone astronaut, an impossible mission, an ally he never imagined. So this seems like it'll be a fun time. I am not really a sci-fi girly, but I do want to get a bit more into the genre. I read Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, I think in January, and I liked that one. And I've heard, like I said, just raving reviews about this book. Everyone loves it. And so I think maybe I would enjoy it as well. It's not that there's anything wrong with the sci-fi genre. It's just it doesn't matter what type of media it is. Movies, books, I do not really like sci-fi. And so maybe this is going to be like a little introduction into the genre that would help me get a bit more comfortable with it and really fall in love with this type of book. But I do really want to read this one this month as well. Next we have is This Story Might Save Your Life by Tiffany Crum. I just recently got this in my book of the month, and I really hope to read it. First of all, I fear I always judge a book by its cover, but the cover is just so stunning. I love the little towns, everything about it. It makes me wonder why it looks like this. What is the reason that the cover is a bunch of houses. But the blurb on the inside says, best friends Benny and Joy like to say they've been saving each other's lives since the moment they met, until the day Joy disappears and Benny is suspected of her murder. This sounds really interesting, also because I'm pretty sure Benny and Joy are both podcasters and they specialize in true crime podcasts, if I'm not mistaken. And then when Joy goes missing, Benny is accused of, foul play or whatever. And so now she has to try to find Joy in order to prove her innocence. That may be completely wrong, but I feel like I remember that is what this one is about. And so I cannot wait to read this one. This one sounds like it'll be really good. I was gonna see if part of the books were written in podcast format. I love when books play around with their books and like they have text messages and podcasts and interviews. This one isn't like that, so that's okay. Doesn't need to be in order to be a 5-star, but I cannot wait to read this one. I feel like this one I would also really enjoy. And then next on the list is This Book Made Me Think of You by Libby Page. I also recently got this in my Book of the Month box as an add-on. And the reason why I bought it is because it is my March book club's pick for the month. And I am really glad that was the pick for this month, because otherwise I feel like I would not have read this. Just because there is very specific topics that I do not like to read about in books. And one of those topics is a main topic in this one. But I'm really glad that I went out on a limb and I decided to read this one because I'm really enjoying it. If you don't know what this book is about, it follows our main character. Her name is Tilly. She gets a call from Alfie, who is this local bookstore's owner, and he tells her like, hey, you have a package to pick up from your husband. He bought you a book. And she is very confused because her husband passed away 6 months prior. So he ends up explaining to her that before he passed away, her husband Joe went into the bookshop and bought her 12 books, one for each month, that she will receive at the beginning of every month. And at first she's very reluctant to go and pick up these books just because she's so heartbroken over her husband's death that she doesn't know if this is a good idea for her mental health, because she has just thrown herself into work and she has essentially stopped living. But she realizes she wants to know what he picked out for her. So she starts going and getting these books, and she realizes that this was Joe's way of getting her to live life again and getting her to move on after his death, because he does not want her to be stuck in a rut. And it is just so beautiful. I am 50 pages, or not 50 pages. I am 50% into this book and I am absolutely loving it. One, not only is it a book for book lovers, there are literally book recommendations in between every few chapters, but I feel like Libby Page is doing such a good job dealing with the topic of grief and loss, and I feel like she's handling it with such care and writing this book in such a beautiful way that not only is it a book for book lovers, but if you're going through something similar to Tilly, whether it be a grandparent, your significant other, a mom, a dad, I feel like this would also help you. And so as she's getting these books, she's starting to go on different adventures and she's meeting people and she's doing things that she never would have done before he passed away with the help of Joe from beyond the grave. And so he's still looking out for her, and I just am really loving this book. I am really glad that I decided to pick it up for the book club, because otherwise I would not have picked this up on my own. I had heard about it and I was like, nope, don't want to deal with death, don't want to deal with loss. That is definitely not going to be read by me. But then when my book club picked it, I was like, ugh, I'm going to have to read this book. And I'm really glad that I am, because I am loving it. There's a little quote on the back and it reads, "The right book in the hands of the right person at exactly the right moment can change their life forever." And then next we have 3 fantasy books. I feel like I had more fantasy books on the TBR this month, but because I feel like I am in a fantasy mood right now. But we have From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. My sister read this book. She didn't read the most recent one though, but she read every other book in the series and she really loved it. And she was like, you definitely need to read this, Jade. And I haven't really been, like I said, in a fantasy mood prior to right now. And so I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. But then I was walking around Barnes & Noble and I saw that they were out in paperback and that they have the sprayed edges. And I love sprayed edges, if you know me. So the fact that they were out in paperback, they had the sprayed edges, I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm in a fantasy mood. And so I bought it. And I looked up and they have on Audible the dramatized audiobooks of these. And I love dramatized audios. I think they're so fun. A great way to really immerse yourself in the book. So I'm definitely going to listen to maybe some of this, maybe not the full book, but definitely a good chunk of this book on audio so that I can listen to the dramatized version of it. I don't really know what this book is about either. It says captivating action-packed from Blood and Ice. Oh wait, captivating and action-packed from Blood and Ash is a sexy, addictive, and unexpected fantasy perfect for fans of Sarah J. Maas and Laura Thalassa. We're gonna go into this a bit blind. but what can you do? I guess you could read the summary. But the next book we have is, y'all are gonna groan. Y'all are gonna be mad at me whenever y'all see this book on the TBR, because y'all are gonna be like, Jade, seriously, haven't we learned? Silver Elite, Danny Francis. I know what you're saying, Jade. This has been on your previous TBRs. Probably on all of them. But I was walking around the bookstore and I saw that Silver Elite was a paperback and it still has the fun sprayed edges. So I was like, you know what? Let me buy the paperback, get rid of the hardcover, and let me see if, because this is in paperback, it might be a bit more encouraging to read it, because I prefer holding a paperback versus a hardcover. I feel like it makes sense to me. Like, does that make sense for anybody else? I know it's not advertised as fantasy. I feel like it's been very, at least advertised to me as a dystopian. I still want to read it because it's giving me that fantasy vibes, even though it's technically not a fantasy. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, you know what? I actually need to get a, like, this is getting ridiculous. I need to read this book this month, like, actually, because the fact that it's been on a lot of my TBRs and not one time have I read it, not one time have I even tried to pick it up, a bit ridiculous in my opinion. So if you're annoyed with me, don't worry, I am also annoyed with me. And then lastly, we have Thrown in the Dark by A.K. Caggiano. I don't know what this book is about. This one has also made an appearance on at least one of my other previous TBRs, but it reads on the back, his dark destiny awaits and nothing will stand in his way except her. And then he's described as a dark lord, a demon spawn, and he's a prophesized realm destroyer, and she's described as bubbly, obnoxious, and blonde. And if I'm not mistaken, somehow they get, like, they meet and they get handcuffed to each other. Is that correct, or am I making that up? And so they have to cross the country handcuffed to one another. I feel like, yeah, it says she mistakenly gets chained to his side through magic, forcing him to drag her across the realm. This seems like it'd be pretty fun. Enemies to lovers, maybe, forced proximity, or at least like annoyance to lovers. Forced proximity, what is this, Grumpy Sunshine? Yeah, so I feel like this is really fun and definitely what I would need, considering I'm in the mood for a good fantasy. But these are all the books that I plan to read in March. I've already read one, so like, I fear I'm like ahead of the game, even though it is March 13th at the time of me filming this. But also, I'm currently reading another one. So really, the only ones that we have left to read are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We only have these left to read from the March TBR. But I hope y'all enjoyed. I apologize for not filming a lot of videos and not posting a lot. Yeah, I've been going through it, to say the least. I've been going through it. And yeah, I've been going through it. We're gonna leave it at that. So I hope y'all stick around for the next one. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope y'all click like and subscribe, and I cannot wait to see you on the next one, which I'm currently filming a reading vlog. So don't worry, I'm still filming that one. I just don't read as much as I used to because I'm super busy nowadays, but we're going to be uploading a reading vlog here pretty soon. So hopefully I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.